Will the war in Iran unleash a new inflation threat? Hello and thanks for watching this week's fastest 4 Minutes in Finance. I'm Scott Inman. February inflation data released this week shows that the cooling trend is continuing. The Consumer Price Index increased just 0.3% last month and 2.4% year over year. That matched economists' expectations. It was also little changed when compared to January. Core CPI, which excludes the more volatile energy and food prices, rose just 0.2% month to month and 2.5% over the past 12 months. It's been 5 years since inflation took off, threatening to reach double-digit annual increases. So while the cumulative effect is still being felt by workers whose wages didn't keep up, the inflation beast is being tamed. However, it may be approaching a huge inflection point. As we talked about on last week's Fastest 4 segment, the war in Iran has put a perceived threat on global oil supply. At the time of this recording, oil prices have jumped nearly 34% in the past month. Most of that increase has occurred since the war began. Prices peaked at $115 per barrel in early March before sliding back to around $86 per barrel as we record this. Now that's created real price pressure at the pump. You've no doubt filled your gas tank enough by now to notice the pinch to your cash flow. According to AAA, average gas prices jumped almost 50 cents per gallon in just the past week. The national average is now $3.47. Yahoo Finance estimates Americans collectively could be spending $187 million more per day than they did a week ago. The good inflation news from February does not cover the period since the war in Iran began. So we should be prepared to see a spike in CPI next month. Where oil prices go from here depends on how long the war drags on. And the longer it drags on, other consumer prices could jump as well. A rise in transportation costs will eventually trickle down to businesses and could be passed on to consumers. Everything from airline tickets to groceries could see a price shock. All of it could be a blip on the radar, though, if this war ends, and other oil supply moves could change the game as well. After Iran's attacks on oil vessels in the Strait of Hormuz, the International Energy Agency announced this week that its 32 member countries would release 400 million barrels of oil from their strategic reserves, the largest ever and the first action of its kind since 2022. Gauging the threat to global oil supply is a speculative game, but it's a game we all pay for. Personally, the best way to endure it is to have ample cash flow margin. The wider the difference between your income and your expenses, the easier it is to absorb higher costs without derailing your savings.
Want to become smarter financially in 4 minutes or less? Sign up at fastest4.com to get insights and updates like this delivered to your inbox weekly.